Chosen one, anchor your spirit to what I am about to say right now. That quiet ache you have been carrying, the one that makes you wonder if someone truly sees you, silence that doubt, because what I am about to tell you is going to reframe everything you thought was happening around you this week. The enemy has been working overtime on your perception, for one reason, and one reason only. He knows who just turned their eyes toward you. He knows what is awakening in someone else's heart right now, and he cannot afford for you to believe it. It all shifts in the next 24 hours, the confusion about where you stand with this person, the wondering, the second guessing. But hear me clearly. Think back to that moment this week when you pulled back, when you chose not to chase, when you swallowed the words you wanted to say and simply walked in your peace instead. You thought that was weakness. You thought your silence was pushing them away, but you did not know it then. That moment of restraint was the exact move that magnetized everything. That decision to stay in your dignity was the act that locked their attention on you, and only you. You did not lose them, you captured them. The algorithm did not bring you here, the Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment, one that was scheduled before the foundations of the earth. You are standing at a threshold right now, and the person on the other side of it has already made their decision about you. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the full spiritual verdict on what this person is feeling toward you right now. I am going to walk you through the exact moment this week where the shift happened, the moment you triggered something irreversible in their heart. And at the end, I am going to give you the declaration that seals this season and stops the enemy from planting one more lie in your mind about whether you are truly chosen or truly loved. Do not click away. Your future self is begging you to stay, because if you leave before the verdict is read, you walk out of this courtroom before the ruling lands in your favor. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere between you and this person has not just been quiet, it has been weighted. Something has been suspended in the air, like a word that has not yet been spoken, but is pressing to get out. Maybe you have been replaying a conversation in your mind, listening for the tone beneath the words, trying to decode whether what they said meant what you hoped it meant. Or maybe you woke up at 3 in the morning this week with your heart racing, not because something was wrong, but because something deep in your spirit was trying to tell you something was right, that what you have been praying for has not passed you by, that it is closer than you have been willing to believe. You feel suspended, caught between hope and protection, between opening your heart again and guarding it from another disappointment. And in that suspended place, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie into your thoughts. He has been telling you that the reason this feels uncertain is because you are not enough. He has been replaying that moment from this week when you hesitated, when you did not say the right thing fast enough, when you walked away instead of pressing in. He has been telling you that this person saw something in that moment, something that confirmed your fear. He has been saying that you are wanted by everyone, except the one person who matters. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Song of Solomon 6:3 says, "I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine." Listen to the weight of that declaration. Not, "I hope." Not, "I am waiting to see." I am my beloved's, present tense, settled, established. A declaration made before the evidence arrived. The enemy wants you to believe that love is something you have to earn back every single day. He wants you convinced that one wrong move, one moment of silence, one bout of exhaustion reset the entire foundation. That is a deception. That is the cycle he has been trying to trap you in. But you are not in a cycle, you are in a confirmation. The heaviness you feel is not the weight of rejection pressing in. It is the weight of a promise pressing through. It is the tension of something real, something undeniable pushing to the surface. That person's heart is not confused about you. Their eyes are not wandering. There is something in them that has already arrived at a decision. and that decision has your name on it. If something in you just recognized that the verdict has already been reached and it has your name on it, press the like button. Not for an algorithm, as agreement with the truth before the evidence fully arrives. That moment this week, when you chose peace over pursuit, when you stepped back instead of grasping forward, that was not a mistake. That was a signal. One they received, one that told them everything they needed to know about who you truly are. You are not the one who chases, you are the one who is chosen. And right now, in this very moment, that is exactly what is happening. Because Song of Solomon 6:3 says, I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine present tense, before the evidence arrives. Declare it now. Most chosen ones who hear a message like this feel the fire for about 48 hours. Then the dryness returns. The doubt creeps back. The silence gets louder. And within a week, they are exactly where they were before, waiting, wandering, spiritually exhausted. That cycle breaks today, or it does not. Subscribe, not to receive content, but to stay in the frequency of what is being uncovered in this season. What comes next goes deeper. Stay connected. Someone is reading this right now who is one moment away from dismissing what they know. Not because their spirit is wrong, because somewhere along the path, pain trained them to silence the very voice that was given to guide them into what they were created for. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, a coffee, a seed, a place alongside what this word is building. What you release here reaches them before they rationalize the knowing away one more time, before they convince themselves that the pull they feel is just wishful thinking, before the logical mind wins again over the sacred whisper. This message exists to reach the ones whose discernment has been waiting for permission to be trusted again. Your seed is that permission, arriving at the exact hour they need it. As you release, bring into your seed the specific moment you almost dismissed what you knew. The pull you talked yourself out of, the knowing you silenced to protect yourself from hoping. For what opens when that knowing is finally trusted? For the person whose path crosses yours because you stayed open. For the one in your life whose sacred whisper has been waiting for someone to believe it alongside them, not a general prayer. The kind spoken when the heart knows, but the mind is arguing. The moment you felt something real, and then immediately began to explain it away. The connection you almost walked toward before the familiar voice said, be careful, protect yourself, you have been wrong before. The knowing that has been trying to surface, returning like a tide, regardless of how many times you pushed it back under. And the quietest one, the fear that the part of you capable of truly recognizing love has been broken by the same experiences that made you need it most. That part of you is not broken. It is waiting. And what you are releasing now will reach someone whose sacred whisper has been waiting for exactly the same thing. Your discernment was never the problem. The distance you kept from it was. And what you plant from this place finds the ones still keeping that distance before they make it permanent. Now, let us talk about what is really happening here. Because what you are feeling right now, that pull, that knowing, that quiet but persistent sense that someone specific has been thinking about you, dreaming about you, circling back to you in their heart, even when life tried to push them forward, that is not wishful thinking. That is not desperation dressed up in spiritual language. That is discernment, a sacred whisper from your soul that can cut through the noise of the world. And tragically, most people have been taught to distrust it, to silence this inner knowing, to believe that the logical mind is the only compass. Here is the hidden barrier no one talks about. The reason you have been questioning what you feel, second-guessing the signs, dismissing the dreams, rationalizing away the moments where you just knew in your bones, is not because your spirit is wrong or your intuition is faulty. It is because your mind, your very operating system, was trained by pain. Somewhere along the winding path of your life, love disappointed you so completely, perhaps shattered you so profoundly, that your soul learned to protect itself by building walls of doubt around its own knowing. And what was meant to be a protective shield, a necessary boundary, ironically became a prison. You stopped trusting the very instincts that were divinely given to you, to guide you into the love you were fearfully and wonderfully created for. The love that your heart aches to experience. Think about Ruth. She was a woman who had every logical, societal, and even familial reason to walk away, to start over, to forget the life and the people that connected her to something greater, to something sacred. The world, the customs of her time, gave her permission, even encouraged her to leave her widowed mother-in-law and return to her own land and people. And yet something deep within her, a force that could not be reasoned with, a divine blueprint etched into her very being, would not let her go. That was not mere sentimentality or a fleeting emotion. That was divine alignment, a resonance with a higher purpose. Divine alignment does not always make sense in the immediate, the temporal, the logical. It simply holds like an anchor in a storm. And Ruth held. And because she held with unwavering faith and loyalty, she walked step by step into a love story that was already being meticulously written for her in the celestial realms before she even knew the name of the man. Boaz she would one day marry, and from whose lineage incredibly Jesus would descend. That profound principle, that unwavering hold of divine alignment, is precisely what is happening with you right now. This person, the one who keeps entering your thoughts like a gentle, persistent tide, even when you try to redirect your mind elsewhere, the one whose name feels different when it crosses your lips or your mind, a subtle shift in resonance, the one you have prayed about and wondered about, and almost more than once, in moments of doubt or weariness, let go of entirely. They are not a distraction from your purpose, a detour from your path. In many profound cases, they are intricately woven into the very fabric of it. And the Most High, the ultimate architect of all time and space, is not confused about timing. Every single day that has passed, every silence that felt like an emptiness, every near miss, every almost moment that felt like a profound loss, none of it, absolutely none of it, was wasted. It was all part of an intricate, divinely orchestrated preparation. And what is coming next will likely surprise you, not because God is unpredictable, but because His plans are always so far beyond our limited human imagination, and they always unfold with breathtaking beauty, because they always do. But here is where it goes deeper, much deeper. And this is the crucial insight that most people miss entirely. The person who currently has their eyes fixed upon you, their heart or mind drawn to you, is not just experiencing a fleeting superficial attraction. They are feeling something profound, something they cannot fully articulate or explain, a resonance that bypasses the rational mind. There is a tangible weight to how they think about you, a significance that lingers. There is a pull, an undeniable tug that they have perhaps tried with all their might to reason their way out of, to dismiss as mere fancy. You have occupied a space within their heart, a sacred chamber that no amount of logic, no passage of time, no amount of worldly distraction has been able to dislodge or diminish. And what they are experiencing, this inexplicable, persistent, returning awareness of you, this magnetic pull, is the unmistakable fingerprint of something divine working beneath the surface of their conscious perception, a spiritual signature that transcends the ordinary. Because God, the divine creator, does not work only in the obvious, the manifest, the easily seen. He works powerfully and often mysteriously in the unseen realm. He works in those quiet, profound 2 a.m. thoughts that surface from the depths of the soul. He works in the way a familiar song comes on the radio and suddenly, uninvited, a specific face, your face, appears in their mind's eye. He works in that pivotal moment when someone is poised to send a message, to reach out, and then stops. Not because they suddenly lack the desire, but because something within them, A divine nudge, a spiritual recalibration, is preparing them to do it right, to initiate the connection at the appointed time in the right way. There is a powerful spiritual activity happening in this person's heart and mind. A divine orchestration that you do not yet have full visibility into. But your spirit, your deep inner knowing, already recognizes it. That is why you are still here, attuned to this message. That is why this particular word found you today, resonating with your deepest truth. And this leads us to something critically important. A truth that absolutely has to land within you before we can move any further. You have been treating your readiness for love as if it were a final destination, a finish line to be crossed. You have been telling yourself, perhaps unconsciously, that you will be ready when you are healed enough, when you are whole enough, when you are together enough, when you are finally free enough from the lingering residue of what broke you before. But here is the divine truth, the liberating revelation that most people are never boldly told. You do not have to be fully healed, completely whole, or perfectly put together to be fully loved. What you absolutely have to be, the only requirement, is honest. Honest with yourself about the parts of you that carry wounds. Honest with God, your Creator, about what you are truly afraid of, the hidden anxieties that grip your heart. Honest with this unfolding connection about the authentic version of you that shows up, not the carefully curated, polished version designed for approval, not the heavily protected, guarded version that keeps intimacy at bay, but the real, unvarnished, beautiful you. Because this person, the one with eyes only for you right now, the one whose spirit recognizes your spirit, they are not falling for a performance. They are being drawn with an undeniable magnetism to the real thing, to the essence of who you are. And if you persist in presenting the edited, filtered version of yourself in the desperate hope of being accepted, you will at best receive a love built on a foundation that is too fragile to hold the magnificent weight of who you truly are. And somewhere deep within your soul, in the quiet chambers of your being, you will always know it. Stay with me, because what I am about to share next is the vital piece, the key that unlocks the cycle that has been holding you captive for so long. There is a deeply ingrained pattern that has been running. It appears to wear different faces each time, different individuals, different circumstances, different seasons of life. But the underlying feeling, the core experience, remains exactly the same. It is the sensation of being close, but never quite there. Almost but never fully realized. Present, but never completely secure. Always with a subtle sense of impending departure. And because the faces kept changing, because the scenarios were different, you understandably blamed the people. You labeled it bad luck, a cosmic joke. You whispered it was a curse. You resigned yourself to it being simply your type, a predictable script you were doomed to repeat. But the pattern was never truly about them, the individuals who crossed your path. The pattern is a silent covenant, a profound agreement you unconsciously made with a version of yourself that, after experiencing deep hurt, decided that you would never again allow yourself to be fully seen, because being truly seen felt like opening yourself up to unbearable vulnerability. What you just named that pattern is no longer unnamed, and something that has been unnamed for years, perhaps decades, just lost its grip on the architecture of your love life. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, a coffee, a seed, a place at the table of what is being built here. What you release carries the weight of that naming. It reaches the ones still living inside the pattern without being able to see it, still extending one hand and holding the other back, not knowing why the distance keeps returning. This message exists to find the ones whose sacred inner sanctuary is still locked. Not because they are cold, because they have been keeping something they love too much to risk. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. That is present tense. Settled. not conditional on the walls coming down first. Your seed is agreement with that declaration for yourself and for the one who has not yet found the language to make it. As you release, bring into your seed the specific version of you that learned to love from behind the guard. The version that was brave in every other area of life and careful only in this one. For what begins to move when the ancient agreement breaks? For the relationship that has been waiting for both hands. For the generation that inherits a different pattern, because you named this one. Not a general prayer, the kind formed in the space between the wall and the reaching. The moment you felt someone drawing close, and the familiar withdrawal began before you could stop it. The relationship you kept at arm's length while believing you were fully present. The love you almost received and could not quite let land. And the deepest one, the fear that the guarded place inside you is so sealed that even you no longer know the way back in. The way back in is not a long journey. It begins the moment you stop honoring the agreement. Release your seed as that beginning. Open one hand at a time. What was frozen is already starting to move, and so you learn to love with one hand tentatively extended outward, and the other hand held tightly back, a gesture of both longing and deep-seated refusal. And every single person who drew close enough to sense the truth of your being could feel that subtle, energetic withdrawal. Even when you offered your brightest smile, even when you spoke the most comforting words, even when your physical presence was undeniable in the room, there was a sacred guarded part of you that they could never quite reach. A sanctuary you kept locked, and eventually, tragically, the very distance you created to protect yourself from further harm became the very mechanism that confirmed your deepest, most crippling fear, that lasting, profound love simply does not stay, that it is destined to fade. But here is the breathtaking perspective that heaven holds. The truth that you, in your earthly experience, have not yet fully grasped. That pervasive fear, that deeply etched caution, is nothing more than a sophisticated lie wearing the convincing costume of wisdom. It masquerades as discernment. It feels like necessary protection. It sounds like the sensible mantra, "I am just being careful." But at its core, it is fear. And fear, when it is allowed to become the governing force in your pursuit and experience of love, will inevitably dismantle every beautiful thing, every nascent possibility of connection, before it has even had a chance to fully form and flourish. Now, once you truly understand that pattern, once you have the courage to name it, just as Joseph bravely named the forces that had followed him from the pit to the prison, you begin to dismantle its insidious power, because you cannot be truly free from what you refuse to acknowledge, what you refuse to look at directly. But the very moment you bring it into the light of awareness, the moment you see it for what it is, something profound shifts within you. The ancient, unconscious agreement breaks, and what was previously locked, frozen, or held captive begins finally to move. In the comments, type 444, Divine Presence, the one who has been with you in every season where the pattern ran, including this one. 444 is your declaration that the ancient agreement is no longer being honored, that what was frozen is beginning to move. And this brings us to the undeniable transformative turning point. This person who is thinking of you, who is inexplicably drawn to you in a way they cannot fully comprehend, is not just being pulled by your external qualities. Part of what they are deeply drawn to is what they intuitively sense is dormant within you, aspects of your being that have not yet been fully awakened or released into expression. There are magnificent dimensions of you, your unparalleled warmth, your profound depth of spirit, your extraordinary capacity to love without imposing walls or conditions that this divine connection is specifically meant to bring forward. You were not meant to carry these potent, beautiful parts of yourself alone into eternity. And what is unfolding between you and this person is not merely a romantic entanglement. It is an activation. It is the kind of profound connection that does not diminish you, but rather makes you more fully and vibrantly who you were divinely created to be, not less. But let me gently challenge you with something crucial, because this is the very point where so many people, even those seeking deep connection, walk right past the open door. You have been praying for this connection. You have been believing for it with all your heart. But if you are truly honest with yourself, brutally, beautifully honest, there is a subtle yet significant part of you that has also been energetically, unconsciously holding it off. Not consciously, not deliberately, not with malice, but energetically, spiritually. Because receiving the very thing you have so fervently prayed for requires you to believe at the deepest, most foundational level of your being that you are fundamentally, intrinsically worth it. And somewhere between the experiences that broke you and the sacred ground where you now stand, that core belief in your own worthiness took significant damage. And unhealed unworthiness does not block the blessing from being sent your way by the divine. It blocks you, it incapacitates you from truly receiving it when it arrives at your doorstep. That is precisely why some people watch the very thing they prayed for with every fiber of their being walk away, disappearing like mist in the morning sun. Not because God did not orchestrate its arrival, but because they, in their wounded state, simply did not know how to open their hands, their hearts, and let it stay. If someone in your circle is standing at the threshold right now, one step from the love they have been praying for, not knowing that the only thing left is to open their hands, this is the message they need. Share it. When you extend what reached you, you become part of what is being activated for them. And here is the one thing most people actively avoid, the hidden key that unlocks everything you have longed for. Receiving love, true love, divine love, the kind of love that has eyes only for you, that sees and cherishes your unique soul, is fundamentally an act of faith. It requires you to consciously open your hands, to let go of the grip you have on your defenses. It demands that you lower the guard you meticulously built from the rubble of what fell apart before. It calls you to look another person directly in the eyes and not flinch, not retreat. It asks you to communicate without uttering a single word, a profound truth. I am here, I am real, and I am willing. That is not a sign of weakness. It is, in fact, the bravest, most courageous spiritual act a human being can possibly perform. And the Most High, the divine lover of your soul, honors it every single time with his unwavering grace and favor. What you just received as truth, that receiving is the bravest thing, is not theory. It is the motion. And the first motion of open hands can be this: through the link in the description or the pinned comment, a coffee, a seed, a place inside what heaven is building. Your seed is not an offering made from a closed fist. It is an open hand. It is the practice of the very posture this message just called you into. This message exists to reach the ones who are standing at the threshold, the ones who know how to love from behind the guard, but have not yet discovered what it feels like to receive it without flinching. Your seed is what makes it possible for them to hear this before they turn from the door again. As you release, bring with you the specific love you have been holding at arm's length. Not in general, the real thing. The connection you have been circling. The receiving you have been rehearsing but not yet practicing. For what opens in you when the guard comes down. For the activation that is already beginning. For the version of you on the other side of the open hands that the person with eyes only for you has been waiting to meet. Not a general prayer. The kind that requires courage to complete. The love you have been praying for, that you have not yet fully allowed yourself to believe belongs to you. The moment you will need to not flinch. The version of yourself you have been protecting that was never in as much danger as fear suggested. And the softest one, the fear that if you truly open your hands and it still does not stay, you will not survive the knowing that you tried. And more than that, the love that has eyes only for you, the one that has been drawn to what is dormant in you, is not arriving to test how much you can endure. It is arriving to show you what you have always been worth. Open your hands, not in performance, as practice, as faith, as the bravest spiritual act you have ever chosen to make, because the God who meticulously knit you together in the sacred darkness of your mother's womb did not design you for a love that consistently fails to land, a connection that always remains just out of reach. He did not write isolation into the grand narrative of your story. He did not allow every season of pain, every trial, every moment of difficulty to pass without a profound purpose, a divine lesson, a strengthening of your spirit. You are a chosen one, not chosen for a life of flawless performance or unattainable perfection, but chosen purely and simply because heaven looked at everything that you are, everything that you carry within your being, everything you have traversed and endured and decided with infinite wisdom, and love that your unique story was profoundly worth continuing, that the chapters yet to unfold are intrinsically worth turning to, that the love you have so deeply longed for is not some ethereal fantasy. It is a divine prophecy, a sacred promise waiting to be actively walked into, and the person who currently has eyes only for you right now, they are an integral, vital part of that unfolding prophecy. They are not an accident. They are not mere coincidence wearing the beautiful guise of romantic clothing. They are a soul whose destined path was always in the grand tapestry of existence going to intersect with yours. And right now, in this very season of your life, something extraordinary is moving. Something is divinely aligning. Something that simply could not have happened before this precise moment is now becoming powerfully possible. The only remaining question, the pivotal inquiry that rests before you, is whether you will be truly ready to receive it, not ready to perform for it, not ready to earn it through arduous effort, not ready to shrink yourself down to fit into its perceived limitations, but ready to receive it fully, openly, without apology, without reservation, as the chosen, deeply loved, utterly irreplaceable person that you already are. Right now, in this very moment. Now, take a moment, place your hand gently on your heart, feeling its steady rhythm, the life force within you, and declare this with me, with conviction, and with an open heart. I release every agreement I ever made with the soul-crushing lie that love would not stay. I release every protective wall I built from the rubble of my broken places. I release the paralyzing fear that wearing my true, authentic self is too great a risk to bear. I am open. I am worthy. I am seen and deeply loved by the one who created me, and what he sees in me is infinitely worth loving. The connection that is divinely meant for me cannot be delayed by my past hurts, blocked by my present wounds, or stolen by my lingering doubts. I receive it now, not when I am perfect, for perfection is an illusion, but as I am in my beautiful, evolving wholeness. I walk forward in unshakable faith, in a growing sense of wholeness, and in the full, radiant expectation that the love heaven has meticulously written into my story is already on its way, and I will recognize it, and I will not run from it, and I will, with gratitude and an open heart, let it stay. In the comments type, I receive it, not as a performance. As the first practice of open hands, the declaration made before the evidence arrives. Present tense settled, not hoping.